Have you ever wondered why certain people can create such an intense, overwhelming need in you that you feel incapable of living without them? Why, even knowing that this relationship hurts you, do you always go back, as if you were addicted to something you can't name? The answer lies in one of the cruelest mechanisms of narcissistic manipulation, the implantation of obsessive passion. The narcissist doesn't awaken true love in their victims. They implant a chemical, emotional, and psychological dependence that imitates love but functions like a drug. This isn't a poetic metaphor. It's a real, calculated process that activates the same neurological centers of addiction in the victim's brain. Carl Jung, the pioneer of unconscious psychology, was one of the first to understand that there are people capable of projecting their own empty shadow onto others, creating a sick symbiosis where the victim becomes the recipient of another's emotional void. But Jung went further. He discovered that this projection doesn't happen by chance. It's directed, intentional, and follows precise patterns of domination. The sadistic narcissist studies their prey. They observe your deepest wounds, your unhealed voids, your most intimate and neglected needs. And then, like an emotional predator, they present themselves as the perfect solution for everything you've ever sought. They don't offer love. They offer the illusion of completeness. This illusion is powerful because it touches upon what Jung called autonomous complexes, fragmented parts of the psyche that operate independently of consciousness. When the narcissist activates these complexes, they're not just seducing you. They're taking control of unconscious parts of your mind. The obsessive passion you feel isn't yours. It's an emotion implanted, cultivated, and maintained by the manipulator through specific techniques. Emotional intermittence, affective deprivation, followed by attention bombing, conditional validation, and strategic withdrawal. Each of these tactics is designed to addictively activate your brain's reward system. You might be asking yourself, but how is it possible that I don't notice? How can I confuse manipulation with true love? The answer lies in the sophistication of the process. The narcissist doesn't come in with obvious manipulation. They arrive offering exactly what your soul most desires. They become the perfect mirror of your unfulfilled dreams. But there's a fundamental difference between authentic love and implanted passion. True love nourishes your individuality, strengthens your essence, connects you more deeply with who you truly are. Narcissistic passion does the opposite. It disconnects you from yourself, makes you dependent on others' approval, transforms your identity into something fluid and manipulable. Right now, millions of people around the world are caught in this trap unknowingly. They confuse intensity with depth, need with love, emotional addiction with spiritual connection. And while they remain in this confusion, their true essences wither, like plants deprived of sunlight. But Jung discovered something revolutionary about this pattern of psychological domination. He realized that the same energy the narcissist uses to trap you can be redirected to free you, provided you understand the mechanisms behind the illusion. Are you ready to look in the mirror of your own obsession and recognize what isn't yours? Take a deep breath and be brutally honest with yourself. How many times have you found yourself obsessively checking your phone, waiting for a message from someone who treats you poorly? How many times have you felt that tightness in your chest, that desperate anxiety when this person ignored you for a few hours or days? How many times have you told yourself you would walk away, only to return like a magnet drawn by an invisible force? If you recognize these patterns, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not crazy. You're under the effect of a specific psychological manipulation designed to create emotional dependence. What you feel as intense passion is, in fact, the result of behavioral conditioning as sophisticated as it is cruel. Look at your past relationships. Is there a pattern? Do you always fall for emotionally unavailable people? For people who alternate between giving you total attention and completely ignoring you? For people who make you feel special one day and insignificant the next? For people who make you question your own perception of reality? While you doubt the manipulation disguised as love, it consumes you. While you confuse intensity with depth, your essence fragments. While you accept emotional crumbs as if they were banquets, your true self begs for recognition. The narcissist knows exactly what they're doing when they create this emotional roller coaster in you. They understand that intermittence is the most effective method for creating addiction. Just as a casino programs its machines to give out prizes unpredictably, The emotional manipulator programs their displays of affection to keep you eternally hoping for the next prize. But here's the truth they don't want you to discover. The anxiety you feel when they pull away isn't love. It's withdrawal syndrome. The euphoria you experience when they return isn't genuine happiness. It's temporary relief from an artificially created pain. Have you ever wondered why, when you're with this person, you feel both complete and empty at the same time? Complete because you finally received the validation you were desperately seeking. Empty because, deep down, you know that this validation is conditional, temporary, and can be withdrawn at any moment according to the manipulator's whims. True passion connects you with your inner strength. Implanted obsession disconnects you from it. Authentic passion makes you feel more like yourself. Narcissistic dependence makes you question who you truly are. Genuine love grows with time and intimacy. Emotional addiction feeds on drama, uncertainty, and deprivation. Yourself, your deepest and most sovereign essence, has been trying to warn you for a long time. In sleepless nights, questioning their behavior. In endless conversations with friends trying to decipher their actions. In tears shed when you realize you're always giving more than you receive. In promises made to yourself to walk away, followed by the inevitable relapse. These aren't signs of weakness. They're signs that a part of you is still awake, still resisting the programming, still fighting for your emotional freedom. It's the voice of your individuation trying to break through the veil of illusion. Do you recognize this trap? It's because you've been targeted by this pattern. You were carefully selected, studied, and conditioned. But recognizing the pattern is the first step to breaking it. And today, you'll understand exactly how this emotional prison was built, and how you can demolish it brick by brick. To understand how to break free from the prison, first you need to comprehend how it was built. The mechanism of obsessive passion implanted by the narcissist operates through what psychology calls intermittent reinforcement, but Jung described it more profoundly as the activation and manipulation of the psyche's autonomous complexes. A complex, in Jungian terms, is a cluster of ideas, feelings, and memories grouped around a specific emotional core. We all have complexes. They are formed by past experiences, unresolved traumas, unmet childhood needs, and inherited relational patterns. Normally, these complexes remain dormant until something or someone activates them. The narcissist is an expert at identifying and activating their victims' most vulnerable complexes. They function like a psychic vampire, but not in the mystical sense of the word. They drain emotional energy because their own psychic structure is fundamentally empty. Where an integrated self should exist, there is only a black hole of need that must be constantly filled by the adoration, dependence, and vital energy of others. Implanted passion functions like a drug because it literally acts on the same neurotransmitters. When the narcissist bombards you with attention, affection, and validation during the idealization phase, your brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin in massive quantities. You experience genuine euphoria, a sense of completeness that can be more intense than any love you've ever felt. But here's the neurological trap. As soon as you get used to these elevated neurotransmitter levels, the narcissist suddenly withdraws their attention. Your brain, now dependent on that chemistry, panics. You literally experience withdrawal syndrome, anxiety, depression, obsession, a desperate need to recover the source of the drug. And when the narcissist returns with their displays of affection, the relief is so intense that it further reinforces the addiction. Your brain learns that the only way to escape the pain of withdrawal is to have this person back. Each cycle of deprivation and return strengthens the neural connections associated with dependence. Jung understood that this process of psychological domination perversely exploits our deepest need for individuation. The narcissist initially presents themselves as the catalyst for your journey of self-discovery. They seem to see you more deeply, understand you more intimately, accept you more completely than anyone before them. This is the perfect bait because it touches on the fundamental yearning of the human psyche, to be truly known and accepted. The emotional manipulator offers a distorted version of individuation, where you can only become complete through fusion with them. They position themselves as the necessary mirror for you to see your own greatness. But authentic individuation always leads to emotional independence, psychic sovereignty, to the strengthening of the self. Narcissistic dependence leads to the opposite, to fragmentation, identity confusion, to the weakening of your essence. The narcissist doesn't love you. They feed on you. They don't complete you. They fragment you to maintain control. They don't awaken your passion. They implant an obsession that imitates passion but functions as a prison. Now that you understand the mechanism, you're ready to learn how to identify when you're being hunted by this emotional predator. The first sign that you are being targeted for the implantation of obsessive passion is the abnormal speed and intensity of the process. The narcissist doesn't build genuine love. They manufacture emotional dependence, and for that, they need to psychologically access you in record time. If you find yourself feeling like you've known this person for years when you met weeks ago, that you have a special connection that transcends time, that you've never felt so understood by someone, pay attention. You might be being conditioned. Authentic love develops gradually through mutual knowledge, trust building, and the progressive discovery of compatibilities and differences. Implanted obsession happens through a carefully orchestrated emotional avalanche. The narcissist studies you during the first encounters, identifies your deepest needs, and then transforms into the perfect answer for all of them simultaneously. The second sign is what Jung would call the projection of the anima or animus. The narcissist doesn't fall in love with who you are. They fall in love with what you can do for them, the energy you can provide, the validation you can give. But they disguise this by making you believe you are soulmates. They project onto you the image of the ideal partner they were never able to be for anyone, and they make you project onto them the image of the love you always sought. This mutual projection creates an illusion of perfection that is literally addictive. You're not falling in love with a real person. You're getting addicted to a carefully constructed fantasy, and when reality inevitably appears, you refuse to accept it because it would mean giving up the emotional drug that this fantasy represents. The third sign is the calculated alternation between total presence and inexplicable absence. The narcissist knows that constancy kills addiction, so they program cycles of intimacy and distancing that keep you perpetually uncertain. When they are present, you experience peaks of euphoria. When they pull away, you experience valleys of despair. This emotional roller coaster isn't accidental. It's the technology of dependence in action. The fourth sign is the gradual erosion of your individuality disguised as romantic fusion. The narcissist subtly begins to redefine who you are, how you should dress, what opinions you should have, what friends you should keep. They do this so affectionately and engagingly that you interpret it as care. In reality, they are systematically fragmenting your identity so that you become more dependent on their validation. The fifth sign is the creation of a parallel world where only the two of you exist. The narcissist progressively isolates you from other sources of emotional support, not through direct prohibitions, but through such intense seduction that you voluntarily give up other relationships. They become your only source of validation, your only confidant, your only emotional refuge. When you realize you're emotionally dependent on a single person, you have already been captured. The sixth sign is the transformation of your creative energy into obsessive adoration. Victims of narcissistic implantation often report that they stopped pursuing their dreams, abandoned hobbies they loved, and withdrew from activities that gave them independent pleasure. All your libidinal energy, all your creative force is channeled into the relationship with the narcissist. You become a moon orbiting a planet that doesn't generate its own light. Each of these signs points to the same reality. You're not living a grand passion. You're being systematically programmed for emotional dependence. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to breaking the illusion and recovering your psychic sovereignty. Now that you recognize the signs of implantation, you need to understand how to break the obsessive cycle that was created in you. The liberation process doesn't happen overnight because you're dealing with real neurological conditioning, but it's absolutely possible when you understand and apply the correct principles. The first step to breaking the obsession is to completely interrupt the cycle of intermittent reinforcement. This means absolute no contact, not half contact, not just friends, not let's talk for closure, no contact. The narcissist relies on your compulsion to return to them. Every time you break no contact, you reset the entire detoxification process and further strengthen the addictive neural connections. It's like trying to recover from alcoholism by taking just one sip a day. The second step is to recognize that you will experience real emotional withdrawal syndrome. Anxiety, depression, obsession, idealization of the relationship, selective amnesia about the abuses, a desperate urgency to return. This doesn't mean you should go back. It means the conditioning is being broken, and your brain is chemically rebalancing. The pain of withdrawal is temporary. The prison of dependence is permanent. The third step is to recover your natural dopamine sources. During the narcissistic relationship, all your sources of pleasure were centered on the manipulator. Now you need to rediversify. Resume activities that brought you joy before this person appeared. Reconnect with friends who were neglected. Pursue personal projects that were abandoned. Each independent, pleasurable activity rebuilds your ability to feel good about yourself. The fourth step is to practice what Jung called the withdrawal of projections. You need to consciously recognize that the person you're obsessed with never existed. You fell in love with a mask, with a persona carefully constructed to seduce you. The real person behind that mask is someone incapable of genuine love, driven only by narcissistic needs and control impulses. When you stop projecting your fantasies about who this person could be and accept who they truly are, the obsession begins to dissolve. The fifth step is to reconnect with your own center. Narcissistic obsession displaces you from yourself. You live according to another person's moods, desires, and whims. Recovery happens when you return to inhabiting your own body, your own emotions, your own dreams. Meditative practices, physical exercise, therapy, journaling, any activity that reconnects you with your own essence is medicine for the fragmented soul. The sixth step is to develop what Jung called the transcendent function, the ability to consciously integrate the psyche's opposites. You need to simultaneously accept that you were a victim of manipulation and that you have responsibility for your recovery, that you were deceived by an emotional predator, and that you possess the inner strength necessary to free yourself, that you suffered real harm, and that you can emerge from this experience stronger and wiser. The seventh and final step is to commit to your own individuation. Narcissistic obsession is always a deviation from the journey of self-knowledge. The narcissist offers a falsified version of completeness that diverts you from the real work of becoming who you truly are. True recovery isn't just about freeing yourself from them. It's about becoming so connected with yourself that emotional predators can no longer seduce you. Emotional freedom isn't the absence of passion. It's the ability to love without dependence, to connect without getting lost, to surrender without fragmenting. Now it's time to practice active emotional detoxification. Intellectual knowledge about narcissistic patterns isn't enough. You need practical tools to reprogram your psyche and recover your emotional sovereignty. These practices are based on Jungian psychology and modern neuroscience, specifically designed to break obsessive conditioning. First practice, the reality journal. Every day, for at least 2 weeks, write 3 pages about how you truly felt during the relationship. Don't idealize. Don't romanticize. Write about the constant anxiety, about the sleepless nights waiting for messages, about how many times you cried, about how you betrayed yourself to please this person. Your brain is addicted to a fantasized version of the relationship. Confronting yourself daily with reality breaks this neurological fantasy. Second practice, the empty chair technique. Sit in front of an empty chair and imagine the person sitting there. Say everything you always wanted to say, but most importantly, say no. Practice setting boundaries you never set. Practice expressing anger you always repressed. Practice reclaiming your worth that was systematically diminished. Doing this out loud reconnects you with your inner strength and breaks conditioned submission. Third practice, reintegration meditation. Every day, dedicate 15 minutes to sit in silence and ask a single question. Who was I before this person appeared in my life? Let memories, sensations, and qualities emerge naturally. Reconnect with your dreams, your passions, your qualities that were eclipsed by the obsession. This practice rebuilds your independent identity. Fourth practice, the closure ritual. Write a letter to the person expressing everything you feel, but don't send it. Afterward, burn the letter in a conscious ritual of release. As the paper burns, declare aloud, I free you from my projections. I free you from my dreams. I free you from my energy. I reclaim my essence. I reclaim my strength. I reclaim my sovereignty. This ritual symbolically marks the end of a psychological cycle. Fifth practice, alternative futures exercise. Every week, write in detail about what your life would be like 5 years from now if you never had contact with this person again. Describe your healthy relationships, your professional achievements, your inner peace, your creativity flourishing. This exercise reprograms your brain to visualize a future without the person, breaking the unconscious belief that you need them to be happy. Sixth practice, radical no contact. Block them on all social media, delete photos, get rid of objects that remind you of the person, change routes that pass by places you used to go together. It might seem extreme, but it's applied neuroscience. Every visual or sensory cue reactivates the neural connections of addiction. Eliminating triggers accelerates the detoxification process. Remember, recovery from implanted obsession isn't linear. You'll have difficult days, moments of emotional relapse, urges to break no contact. This is normal and part of the process. What matters is that you always return to the practices, always reaffirm your commitment to your own liberation. You're not healing from lost love. You're detoxing from an emotional drug. Treat it as such, with seriousness, discipline, and compassion for yourself. If you've made it this far, something fundamental has changed in you. You can no longer pretend you don't know. You can no longer convince yourself that that person truly loved you. You can no longer confuse obsession with passion, manipulation with romance, dependence with spiritual connection. The veil has been torn. The illusion has been shattered. You've seen the machine behind the magic. This is your initiation into emotional sovereignty. You now belong to a special category of people, those who recognize emotional predators, who see through narcissistic masks, who no longer allow themselves to be seduced by vampires of another's shadow disguised as great loves. You are now the guardian of your own journey, no longer the unconscious prey of sophisticated manipulators, no longer the victim who confuses intensity with depth. You are the unmasker of your own story, the protector of your own essence, the sovereign of your own heart. This doesn't mean you'll never love deeply again. It means you'll love consciously. It doesn't mean you'll become cynical or closed off. It means you'll open yourself to people who deserve your openness. It doesn't mean you'll avoid passion. It means you'll distinguish authentic passion from manufactured obsession. True passion connects you more deeply with yourself. It makes you feel stronger, more creative, more generous, more courageous. It inspires you to be the best version of who you are. Implanted obsession does the opposite. It fragments you, weakens you, makes you dependent, disconnects you from your own inner strength. Now you know the difference. And this knowledge is a shield that no one can break, a light that no projected shadow can eclipse, a force that no manipulator can diminish. Your next relationships will be different because you are different. You'll recognize love bombing when you see it. You'll identify premature idealization as a red flag, not as confirmation of special compatibility. You'll notice when someone is trying to isolate you, redefine you, fragment you, and you'll have the courage to leave before being captured. More than that, you'll attract different people. Emotional predators hunt specific prey. They look for people with unhealed wounds, deep needs, patterns of submission. When you heal, when you strengthen yourself, when you become sovereign of your own energy, you literally stop appearing on their radar. The liberation from implanted obsession is just the beginning. It's the gateway to a life of conscious relationships, where you choose to love instead of needing, where you connect instead of merging, where you grow with someone instead of getting lost in them. Comment on which of the signs most alerted you to the manipulation you were suffering. Like if you felt the courage to break free from the illusion and reclaim your emotional sovereignty. Subscribe to continue this journey of individuation and protection against psychological predators. You are no longer the same person who started watching this video. You woke up. You remembered. You reclaimed your power. True passion is coming. And this time, you'll be ready to recognize it, honor it, and live it with all the depth it deserves. Unmask yourself. Free yourself. Become who you always were.